My first breakthrough moment was when I made my first international team as a junior back in 2012, which is in Antwerp. I didn't come back with much success, but from those failures, I learned so much. The qualifying process is that to swim a certain time. It was a long time ago now, so I can't actually remember what time it was, but it was fairly quick, and I had to be the top 2 juniors to get on that team, which at the time was very, very competitive because I was racing the likes of Craig Benson, who was making the Olympic team at the exact same age as me. So yeah, it was a very difficult team to make. I felt quite nervous going into the race because again, there were so many variables which I wasn't used to, such as the big arena, racing the best in the world or in the country at that time. So yeah, it was definitely an eye-opener. Normally as a junior, you find out through the post or it's released online, but basically I found out from a letter pretty much that came from my post box saying that you've qualified for the European junior team. Obviously I was ecstatic with that, and I think it was 3 months down the line, so I put as much hard work into that as I could. It was almost like it was meant to happen anyway. It was almost like the start of the puzzle. I knew I wanted to go to Olympics. I knew I wanted to do greater things as a senior, but I needed to get a taste of competition, a proper European competition at the junior level first. First time racing abroad, there were so many things that I wasn't used to, such as the food, the hotel, the team experience. All these things were completely new to me, so it was exciting and frightening at the same time. I took so much away from that in terms of my emotional control, looking at what other people were doing, and really started to think about, okay, how can I be the best athlete I can be, not trying to look at other people and what makes them great. I felt really relieved actually that I've had my first kind of glimpse and first taste of real competition. Coming away from that, I was hungrier than ever. It was almost like a catalyst for my future success. I was willing to work harder than anyone else to get to that success. 2014 Commonwealth Games was another key moment for me because it was my first senior team representing England instead of Great Britain, but also it was my first major medal, my first gold medal. And it kind of put me on the world map in terms of breaststroke and racing some of the best in the world at the time. As I headed to the Commonwealth Games, I was very, very early, very kind of immature, adolescent. Everything was kind of new to me. So I was still like a sponge. I was soaking up all the things I could, all the tips and all the tricks. And it was a huge learning experience and a massive curve really that I had to get over. My goals and expectations for the Commonwealth Games were nothing really too major. I knew it was going to be a hard fight, so I wasn't going in there expecting to win gold. I just wanted to, a season's best, keep it simple. I just wanted to be the best I could possibly in that season. I remember the finals of the 100 metre. It was very, kind of relaxed out and then come back like a train. Because I knew Cameron van der Burg, he had, immense speed on the first 50. And that's where I take it away on the last 50. But I remember touching, I was like, wow, is that actually just happened? And, it was such an amazing moment for me. And I didn't really know that 7 years later I'd still be doing it. So the medals themselves were very significant because it, one, gave me my first professional contract, and two, put me on the world map for the first time and showed me that I could do damage and be a weapon in the international scene, which is more confidence than anything else could give me. So 2 weeks later, I went to the Europeans and broke my first world record in 50. So that's how much it kind of gave me it was almost like a trampoline, and I used that to propel myself upwards. I think it's good because at the time I was still young, so I knew I had plenty of learning to do. But I also knew that it wasn't enough to prove myself. I wouldn't prove myself until the Olympics, which was 2 years later. So I was really kind of obviously staying humble and just enjoying the journey. And, for me, I looked at the drawing board and I go, we want to go this fast at the Olympics. This is how we're going to make it happen. So I didn't get there and win and then just completely rest. It was all about, obviously, how do we get faster for the next one. In 2015, at the British World Championship Trials, I achieved my first world record, which was in 100 metre breaststroke. In 2015, it was, a little bit different because I had a bit of a different approach, a different mindset. Before the race, Mel always keeps me calm. She knows it's like letting a bull out of the gate because once I get going, I can't stop. So she's always telling me, calm down, do this process, do that process, think about the first 3 strokes. Getting onto the blocks, I was quite nervous, not knowing what my competitors were going to do. But I remember just, as soon as that pull out was done, and I start the process of the race, that's it. Once I get going, I can't stop. I remember that race very fondly because it was delayed by like half an hour to an hour, and I was like, oh, this has screwed up my whole kind of preparation for this race. But it actually made me more relaxed, and taking my headphones out and actually thought about the race. And I remember going out really, really fast because I was quite nervous, and then I just kept going like a train really on the way back, and I touched the wall and I was like, there's no way I've just gone that fast. I thought it was an error. And then I looked again, and you know, it was the first 57 in history, beating Cameron van der Beers by half a second. I think, yeah, as a swimmer, you always recognise instantly as you turn around, you know what time it is, and then you put 2 and 2 together. So, and normally it does say world record, but I don't know if it said it on that day. I'm not too sure, but I don't think anyone was preparing for a world record. I think it's set in, you know, a few weeks later. It's never instant. No matter if you go to Olympics or you go to World Champs, it's very hard to sink in that moment because you're so orientated about the process of performance that you never really get a chance to relax. And sometimes, you know, some medals even take years to sink in that you've even done it. I think a lot of my victories over my career won't sink in until I retire and fully appreciate them. I think as a young athlete, you always know you can go faster because you have that kind of arrogance. I think that's the best thing about being young, you know you can take on the world. But I also thought, you know, if I can learn this much in this amount of time, how much can I learn over the next 10 years? And I knew as soon as you put me in an Olympic arena or in a World Championships, I get faster anyway. I just kept it simple. I knew exactly what data was saying. I knew exactly how fast I needed to go out and come back. And you put 2 and 2 together and voila, you go faster. I think that particular record gave me hope above anything because it was the first 57. So all I wanted to do was go a 57 again to prove that I was a 57 swimmer. You can get lucky and do it once, but doing it twice is hard. Doing it 10 times is harder.